Most obvious first question, Joe. What did you make of that day?
Yeah, very tough. A few lessons out there for sure. I think we were right in the game at 10-7 at half-time, and even leading into half-time, we had a little bit of momentum, and after half-time had a couple of 22 entries, one where we got really good momentum, and then probably threw a loose ball, and another one where we threw a forward pass with a little bit of an overlap. So I felt that we were right in it. I did think that the bench made a difference from England. They really did step up the level of intensity and the physical combat that they brought. And until that time, I thought the game was really well balanced. I think from a couple of kicks, there were a couple of tries, but I felt that the likes of Harry Potter, Andrew Callaway, there was some really good work from our players in the air, and I think it's something that everyone has to just keep working on, because they were the two entry points for England into the game. We had an early one where I think Harry Potter tried to throw a ball over to Andrew Callaway on an overlap, and it got intercepted. But then, Harry certainly made up for that from his length of field effort. So we've obviously got to have a bit of a look at some of our maul defence. But we got some really good pressure on their line-out. We stole a few of their line-outs, got good pressure on their line-out. But once they started to get a flow of possession from touch, it did make it very tough.
Just going, you're obviously missing some key players ahead of Italy. Do you hope to have Len, James O'Connor and Tom Hooper? Do you hope to have, will they all travel to Italy?
Post this evening, we'll make some firmer decisions on those players. Obviously, Len and Tom Hooper were both at the game today in with the team, so they're not far away. And I think James is on holiday, but he is coming back from holiday. So he played a lot during the Lions, TRC, straight into Leicester. So for him to get a break was the best thing.
Harry, tough loss. How do you motivate the boys ahead of Italy, which is such a tough test, because after what happened in 2022, and in fact they've actually improved since then, how do you go into a very disappointed changing room and try to lift the boys?
Yeah, it was obviously really disappointing from us tonight, but I guess the beauty of a 5-game tour, we do have next week, and I know the group's going to be really motivated to improve, because we got to be a hell of a lot better than what we were tonight. It's a very disappointing change room at the moment, but I know once we hit the ground in Italy, we'll be very easy to motivate everyone for what will be a very tough test match.
What instantly disappointed you, Harry, in terms of, without pointing out individuals, but as a collective team, what disappointed you as captain?
I guess just our A zone wasn't good enough for us. We're a team that pride ourselves on being quite accurate there, and a few of us let definitely the team down there, and we just weren't as accurate throughout the whole game. Our breakdown wasn't as tight as what it normally is, and it was very disappointing when you, I guess, lose 25-7 at Twickenham.
Just the last question for me, and in the lead up to the game, Joe, there was a report by one of my colleagues about examples of inside ruck, which England had highlighted. What do you make of those examples being highlighted yourself in terms of how you coach this team?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of gamesmanship. We've had up until today 1,256 attacking rucks. There's 2 players at least in each of those. That's 25,000 ruck entries. We had 1 yellow card. No one has left the field injured as a result of our clean-outs. We haven't ever been excessively penalised for side entry. So, I always find those things disappointing but not distracting. All we can do is focus on what we do and try to do it as well as we can.
Joe, you think that had any signs that way to go?
A lot of time, but do you think that had any impacts on the game, the way the game's directed? You're cooking twice there in the first 5 minutes.
No, I don't think so. We'd have a look at guys with their hands down, and if it's not one thing, it could be another. But we'd have a fair bit of confidence in the referee for all those incidents that were highlighted. 10 was sent to the referee, and he didn't even agree with them all. So it wasn't the number of 40 that was I suppose that was said earlier in the week, and I think the referee is a very experienced referee, and he just got on and refereed the game.
Joe, do you think he might have caught up with you that you were talking about the potential of being a bit weary after a long trek as well from Japan and the schedule you've had? Do you think that it caught up with you a bit today? You seemed a bit sluggish, the team, as comparison to last week.
Yeah, I felt the same way, and obviously Harry senses it as well. All we can do is try to freshen players from week to week, and obviously you get a little bit of attrition from week to week with a few guys picking up injuries and not being available. So we don't want to make excuses. England were very, very good tonight. I think teams that come here, the intensity of their aerial chase, the intensity of their breakdown, and their ball carry, the bench that they brought on. I think 6 British and Irish Lions off the bench. Their strength and depth. That's something we're trying to build in Australia, but that's that takes a bit of time. And without some guys today, that's a great opportunity for some of those other players to get that experience. I felt Tane Edmed, for example, I thought he acquitted himself really well in moments of the game, and then probably will learn some things from the game. And that learning is what you're investing in players for the future. And I still think that we'll get something out of the game. I know the dressing room's disappointed. Harry's disappointed. We all are. But there are 2 things that probably stick out to me is that we didn't give up. We kept trying. We made 7 clean line breaks. So did England. It wasn't like we were utterly outplayed. But in moments of the game, I felt they dominated us, and that there'll be learnings in that for us.
Harry, can I just ask about your kick down sidebar? I thought it was went a little bit further than what the referee.
Yeah, I was obviously hoping it was 50-22 there, but obviously it was advised it wasn't. But it was quite a lucky one there. It was quite tight.
Been practicing.
Always practicing.
Just on how crucial this game is now with Italy. You just talk about that, in terms of also getting these ranking points.
Yeah, if we don't get to 6 in the world, all we've got to do is just keep building, because you can still be a great chance and not be 6 in the world, but that would be the ideal for us. But we've got to be able to build over the next 2 years and not be afraid of playing one of the big guns. I think having had some big wins this season so far, I think we've demonstrated ability with a full squad that we can knock teams over, and we've got to build the depth in behind that squad. So this tour is really part of that. Italy will be very tough. They were 1 score away from England at half-time last time they played them. They're a good side, and they're coached by a good friend of mine in Gonza Caseta, and I know that Gonza is a very good coach, and he will have them primed. You look through their team, and they've got some great attacking players, Minicello and Brex in the midfield. That's you don't get much better than those 2. Capuzzo coming in, Liner, that people over here would know well, and obviously we know his brother very well. Montijuani, that's just out the back, and then you've got a Fischetti who plays over here, and again people would know him well. so many players that play at the very top level, and that's going to be a massive challenge for us. We're going to have to dust ourselves off very quickly.
Joe, are you mindful of 2022? It was obviously an incredibly difficult defeat for the Wallabies, Dave Rennie, for my time. And is that spoken about, or is that part J Bissu?
I don't think we speak about anything that preceded the last 18 months. All we've said is we are where we are. We have the depth that we have, and we have the challenge in front of us that we face. And so we've tried to just face that challenge and try to incrementally improve. And unfortunately, that's not linear. And particularly when you get a team that at home, highly motivated. We were hoping for better conditions, but you don't get that all the time. We can't use that as an excuse when we've played in the rain often enough this year that we've got to be good enough in those conditions. So we are mindful of what happened last time we went to Italy, just because, I am, because I've looked back at that game. And I caught up with Dave Rennie in Japan, and we discussed it briefly. But all we can affect now is how well we prepare to go into that game and be as competitive and get the performance that's more accurate than what we feel we put out tonight.
Joe, you've been as always, what you?
I was just going to say, Harry, you were there in the middle. You look absolutely shattered now. How do you compare tonight's game to some other games that you've played in terms of the intensity of the forward hat?
Yeah, they're a really physical forward pack. We knew that coming into it, and it was a battle which I know all the forwards were relishing, and they kept coming at us for 80 minutes there, and they got the result there. And obviously, post 80 minutes and losing a game like that, you are pretty gutted there. But I know we'll shrug it off and take our learnings from that result and rip into Italy.
Do you compare it to any other match you played?
Oh, yeah. Well,
No?
we've had a big rugby championship. We're versing South Africa into Argentina, New Zealand. They were some really tough games, and obviously the Lions series. We had some moments there which definitely does compare to, but there's a lot of familiar faces in that game too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.